Network for the strong, not the weak.
No escaping this. 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 No escaping this.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escaping.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escaping.
No one's ready to deal with us.
No escaping this. No escaping this. No escaping.
No one's ready to deal with us.
You are listening to the End of the Bench podcast on Built for This Network, hosted by my man HRap.
Good evening. It's your man HRap coming at you live and direct. This is Build and Destroy, brought to you by Build for This Network, as well as the End of the Bench podcast, Build and Destroy. I said the same thing. I'm slipping. Okay, this is Build and Destroy, the End of the Bench podcast on Build for This Network, as well as YouTube. I got myself together now. I'm in order. Thank you for tuning in. It's going to be an interesting podcast today because we got a lot to talk about. And as usual, I like to start off my podcast giving homage to my family, my living family, as well as my ancestors. The reason I do this is because you're supposed to give respect to the people who put you in the position that you're in. And that is including everybody in the Whitmore, Pollock, Turner, Battle, Cotton, Harper, Bailey, Crisp, Lansdowne, Liggins, Duncan, and the Williams family, no matter who and where you are. Thank you for helping me be me, helping me obtain the goals that I've attempted, and your continued support, whether you be a transitioned ancestor or a living, breathing Williams. I want to thank you, Williams, or anybody else that I named. Shout out to Michelle Smith, as usual. And I want to thank you for tuning in, man. I had a rough day. Shout out to my homeboy Steve, talking me off the ledge. Shout out to Steve, man. I almost didn't do a show today, man. Shout out to Steve. I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. I almost didn't do a show, but I had a crazy day today. But this is gonna be the highlight of my day. I'm gonna make the End of the Bench podcast with you guys tuning in, being part of the family here. I'm going to make that the highlight of my day, and I'm going to keep it fucking with you. That's what we're going to do. As you know, this is a podcast. You can catch it on Spreaker.com. Looking for Built for This Network, BUILTFORTHISNEW work. I ain't spelling anything. With that being said, you can find it on Spreaker.com, YouTube, under Built for This Network, Apple Podcasts under Built for This Network, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, and Podcast Addict, or wherever you download your podcast. Shout out to the homie Joe. He's in the chat room early. He must have had nothing to do. You know, Joe, he's got something to do, so he come in late, chilling. Just messing with you, bro. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in. It's going to be an interesting show. We've had a lot of things to talk about politically, last week. And first and foremost, allow me to apologize for Saturday's show. I had a lot of technical difficulties. The videos were acting all crazy and erratic. And I fixed that in mid-show. Going forward, I would like to announce this. Going forward, I would like to say this. In the event that you see videos or any technical difficulties, and you're looking on YouTube, I am literally about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes in front of you on YouTube. So, while you are bringing it to my attention, that is duly respected and appreciated. But by the time you tell me, hopefully I've had it fixed. But I do appreciate everybody who was reaching out and saying, hey, man, the thing is going haywire. I can't understand. And it was appreciated. But by the time you told me I had fixed it, and it was maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Shut up, Steve. That was going bad. And Steve is listening. And he was talking. He made a lot of jokes this week. So I want to apologize and thank you for continuing the support. And with that being said, we had two politicians. First and foremost, let's define what the role of a politician is. A politician is a civil servant, a civilian servant. That's what civil is short for. Civil servants, civilian rights, civil rights, civil servant. That means you are a civilian and they are your servant. They should be working for you. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it slowly. They are servants to you. They should be doing your bidding. They are not here to do what they want to do. They are only going to do, see, a lot of people get mad at our brother Barack Obama. Sometimes he pissed me off too. I'm not going to act like, oh man, Obama was the guy. No, sometimes he pisses me off too. I'm not going to pretend that he doesn't, but sometimes he does. But this is what we have to do. We're going to have to always remember what people tell us. Barack Obama, so people ask Barack Obama, why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that? And his response was, because you didn't make me do it. And people got upset. Shout out to the hotel community. Inside joke. The hotel brothers and sisters and the woke people, they got upset. See, he ain't doing what you're supposed to do when we put him in there to do it. But see, the thing is, this is how politics works. They tell you a stream of lies and make you a whole bunch of false promises to get them in position to make some of those lies work. The reason some of these brothers and sisters are and the reason some of these people are successful is because their constituents speak loud. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. What we do in our community, in my perception, is complain laterally. We don't go to our alderman. We don't go to our committeemen. We don't go to our aldermen. We don't go to our state representatives. We don't go to our state senators. We don't go to our U.S. senators. We don't go to the governor, so forth and so on. It is a upward trend that we must do in order to get our civil service to do something. Because if we make enough noise, they're forced to act. And other communities make tons of noise, LGBTQ, for example. Why he doing stuff for the gay community or the LGBTQ community? Because they're always on TV after the fool. They have organization and they keep pushing it in their face. And then when he goes to the rest of the people who are in charge, we have to do something because these people put us in office and then things are enacted. In my opinion, we don't do that enough. We complain to our friends and family. Shout out to Chief Roger. Shout out to DJ Ramon. Shout out to Homestyle Music. Shout out to Lady J. Thank you. Dope show earlier, Lady J. She's in the building. Thank you guys for tuning in. Much love. But we don't complain enough to the people who needs to hear these complaints. We complain to each other. And one thing that I found myself saying before, and I'm sure a lot of other people say, they should know. Yeah, they do know. But just like anything else, if you don't complain about it, and you just going to complain to your friends about it, hey, what am I going to do? Why do I have to do anything if all I have to do is do my job, and then you get mad and you're gonna re-elect me, and you get mad and you accuse me of not doing my job, and it's a cyclical thing. The reason I'm bringing this up is Joe Biden. First 100 days, everybody says the first 100 days is the framework of what he's going to do. Joe Biden did a lot of good things in the first 100 days. He signed this act for the Asians. He signed another act for the LGBTQ, and he signs an act for other people. He ain't do a damn thing for black people. Because remember on Charlamagne the God and DJ Envy and Angela Yee show, The Breakfast Club, what did that man say? That man said this: if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Well, if you don't do what the hell we say, saying in the high 80s, 98% of sisters and 94% of brothers voted for you, your ass going to be unemployed in a little while. And we found out that you had financial struggles, so you really need this job for about 8 years, and you get some of that free money that Obama getting right now, right? But the thing is, Kamala Harris backed him up. She doubled down on it. And what I mean by doubling down on it, she followed suit, because technically she couldn't step out of suit because she's his vice president, and yada, 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 this, that, and the third. They got to say the same thing. The thing that they said, which alarmed me and millions of other people that look like me, America's not a racist country. Well, you, I, and anybody with a functioning brain understands that that's a damn lie. And I want you to see, it's easy for angry ass, pro-black ass HRap to say this, because see, HRap don't understand sometimes, and HRap is gonna give y'all a different perspective. See, HRap is the pro-black guy. That's what you could argue. I'm gonna show you a video right now, and I want you to listen to somebody. He didn't say the words "America's a racist country," but after you hear this video, you're gonna say, "I never heard that before."
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. But not only did they give the land, they built land grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington and this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
I bet you didn't know getting a check was part of the dream. See, these are the things that are being hidden from you, and they want you to believe that Dr. King standing outside somebody's house, kumbaya at every turn, and Dr. King never said anything. It was sad to say that Dr. King died shortly after making that speech. But the thing is, this is one of the examples of how everybody else gets what they want but us. This is an example of why people that look like you and me and people who support my show, thank you, why we think America's a racist. This is one of the examples. See, these are the things that are hidden from you that you must continue to dig up so you can make decisions on your own if this is a racist country or not. Because, of course, Joe Biden is not going to say it's a racist country, but it's awful strange to me that the biggest threat to the country is white supremacy. And if you watch Exterminate All the Brutes, you will see that white supremacy is pervaded all over the world. And that would make this world a worse racist place. And America's in the world. But Kamala Harris says the same thing, and then she follows it up with her own racist thing. Tim Scott says it's the same thing, and then mentions he's been followed by the police because he's black. If you've been followed by the police because you're black, and you've been followed through a department store because you're black, and those are identifiers on racism. But you tell the world that America's not racist. See, this is why we must do a great job of educating ourselves on plans on how to get around these things. You just saw our great ancestor, the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I got my girl Too Cute in the building. He pretty much told you that all the stuff and rhetoric that you hear is nonsense, and we need to get some of that same action. I don't see a problem with that, but most people do because for whatever reason, they believe the propaganda. Our own folks believe the propaganda. People who live next door to you believe the propaganda. When you see things, first of all, this is what we're going to do. We're going to subtract ourselves from places like CNN TV. We're going to subtract ourselves from like MSNBC. We're going to subtract ourselves from Fox. We're going to start watching all this trauma porn. Well, y'all don't know what trauma porn is. Trauma porn is this. You see a bunch of our brothers and sisters and our ancestors, transition to ancestors in these videos. A lot of things are going on in the world. And if we can keep you arguing about LGBTQ and Muslims and white supremacy and all these other things, what we can do at the top is take over. Because if you worried about ancillary nonsensical things, you don't have your eye on the prize. And this is what this show today is about. Reestablishing our eye on the prize. The prize is freedom. The prize is liberation. The prize is living a peaceful life. At the end of the day, most of us have no intention on packing up and leaving because this is my damn country too, and my ancestors built it, and a lot of things to go along with that, right? And that's, hey man, when you talking about your peace, your liberty, your peace of mind, your freedom, you can never be wrong. You can never be wrong. But what we have to do, the people who are intending to stay, what we have to do is create organization. Organization is the key. And what is organization? We must jump in 10 fingers and 10 toes and assist each other on things as simple as Spreaker.com supporting the shows. As simple as tuning in to DJ Mad Knox, #1 Chief Rock on Mondays and Thursdays. Supporting Big Illinois and Lisa. Supporting tonight, Girly Girl and Mandela and so forth. See, simple things like that spur on and an idea of perpetual motion. It's just what you do. You'll go start to support. Now, I told you about a Amazon-like black-owned company, MIIRIYA. MIIRIYA.com. It's like the black version of Amazon. We must start going there. I was listening to Karen Hunter. She had the same idea. We got to stop talking about, like, we see somebody get killed by the police. Oh man, if that was black, that wouldn't have happened. But we know that. So how did that help us? It's not helping us. What it is regurgitating nonsensical ideas that ain't gonna help us. How does that free us? Watching that video, watching another one of these snuff films, that's not going to free us. That's not going to liberate our minds. That's not going to elevate our consciousness. That's not going to put us in a better situation. But what we need to do is start having conversations about bringing us closer together, locking arms, and moving in the same direction. Period. For me, I don't have an opinion on everything. All it takes for me is something to disagree and agree with a non-comment. Then the word boxing online with the stranger. No, just not a just not comment. Yeah, exactly. Sitting online. Shout out to my girl Too Cute, one of the dopest DJs in the world. Support her. If you ain't on the Spreaker side, hit that follow button, and then you'll hear DJ Too Cute get down every week. But yes, indeed, man. Just like a blackAmazon.com, my man Romel. Yes, sir. I will post that link. Un momento. I'll send it to you, brother. I'll send it to you directly, but I will post that link on both sides. And this is what we're talking about. It's okay. It's okay. We can have disagreements, but once people start disagreeing with basic common courtesy, knowledge, information, and trying to dismiss who and what you are as a human being, then at that point, that's the juncture that you need to disengage. You need to disengage. And if you disengage, then guess what? They're talking to themselves. You don't want to talk to a damn fool. Why? Why y'all, man? See, y'all need to get y'all act together. Ain't nobody got their act together without the help and assistance of the United States federal government. As a matter of fact, that's why we pay taxes, so they can help us get our act together. How about that? But people don't want to talk about that. They just want to point their finger at what they perceive is us being lazy. Awful lazy. You know what we are? We epigenetically tired because we've been working our ass off for centuries and nobody gave us money for it. And guess what? You worked your ass off for a century, and then for the last century, last 58 years, you've been walking around attempting to destroy us. You created black codes. For those who don't know what a black code is, a black code is a law that was created after our ancestors, our African ancestors, were emancipated and put into the street. Oh, well, if 3 black people are together without a white person standing there, y'all going to jail because they thought you were going to start an uprising. Oh, if you're loitering and don't have no job, you're going to jail because you're a vagrant. And then guess what? They introduce you to sharecropping, so now you're back in slavery, but they're going to give you a little bit of money. It's almost like in the prison system. So these are the things that we're fighting against, but nobody seems to understand that, even want to acknowledge those things. But we're cool with that. You look, we're strong enough to get past these things, and as we get past them, then we'll move forward. Those are the breaks. Those are the facts. Those are the breaks. That's how things go. Period. But to stand in our face and say, man, because this is a racist country, this lets you know exactly what people think of you and think about your position in the world. A lot of people can say, oh, no, see, they meant this. No. This country was built on racism. Again, all you have to do is watch the docuseries by Raoul Peck, Exterminate the Brutes. If you watch Exterminate the Brutes, you'll understand that maybe HRap ain't upset. Maybe HRap don't hate nothing. It's just, these are the facts. These are the facts, people. And that's what we need to start dealing with. The facts exclusively. Here is a way for us to start dealing with things. I, personally, I think I put out a lot of positive information. But guess what? I fell for the propaganda. I've had several incidents, family incidents with the police, several incidents with run-ins with the police that I ended up on the short end of the stick. And you know what I did? I did exactly what the programming asked me to do. Start hating the police. Oh man, I'm hating them. And then slowly I started coming out of it. But the best way, if you're going to live in what they call a meritocracy or democracy, the best way to combat something in a world like this is this. You become part of the system and take over the system. See, that is why we get so much. That's why you get those videos when they shot our little young sister last week, 40 minutes after the George Floyd victory, conviction, or the Derek Chauvin conviction was announced. Then you get another person shot at a damn traffic stop before that. Then you get another brother or sister shot. These things, don't get me wrong. I understand that those things are horrific. Those things, I'm going to talk about that. Those things need to be eradicated from police work, though, right? But what they do is they show us these things to discourage us from joining the police force. The thing is, I was talking to somebody on last night before the forecast show. At one point, police, you knew them. You could talk to them. In my neighborhood on the near north side of Chicago, it was these 2 black cops. They were young guys. They probably like between 25 and 30, both of them. We used to call them 21 Jump Street. Or Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. That's how old I am. And they used to roust us. And then when we became adults, they said, man, we knew y'all wasn't on that nonsense. That's why we used to make sure, let y'all know we watch at all times. See, some people may think of that as an abuse of power, but that's that unity that I always speak about on this show. That's 2 people interacting with some young people saying, stay out of trouble. I got my eye on you. They really weren't watching us, but if they saw us, they'd jump out. Hey, what y'all doing? We like, yeah, man, y'all tripping again. But then you get older, as you got older, they'll say, hey, how you doing? And then it became a understanding, like, hey, man, they watching, no nonsense. And this is what the police force, in my opinion, does in other communities. But if we only are in a situation to whereas when we see the police, we see angst, we see hate, we see Gestapo, this is what they want us to do, because then you hate the police. And if you hate the police, you would never try to join the force. And what happens? You don't join the force, and more of these bigots join the force, and they gun us down. Period. If the police department as a whole, and this is the plan, I don't care what anybody says, this is the plan. If the police, as they stood currently, wanted to create balance or get rid of the bad apples, guess what? How many times have you seen on TV a black man, a black woman, a Latino man, a Latino woman, or any form of Asian person, whether it be Indian, Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, as the face of the police? You don't see it. Even as I said on our forecast last night, if you close your eyes and think police, you probably, the first person face come to your mind is a 30-year-old white male. That's because they don't want you there. See, if you want to save your kids, if you want to save your elders, if you want to save everybody in our community, we must infiltrate. Just like they infiltrated the Black Panther Party self-defense, what did they do? They infiltrated and destroyed it from the inside. So what we need to do is destroy policing as it stands, as it currently stands, from the inside. We must infiltrate. And then we can stop all it, because then at that point, you can have DJ Ramal, a police officer. You can have HRap, a police officer. You can have Joe, a police officer, policing our neighborhoods. We know what nonsense and foolishness look like. We know what criminal activity looks like. They know too, because I was talking to police officers, and they said after your first or second year, you pretty know who on nonsense or who not. And a rookie, first year dude or woman, yeah, they don't know. But after you there, you patrol this area, you know. And this is what I'm saying. Like, another thing we need to infiltrate is the military. Oh, that's a racist place and da-da-da-da. But you know what? You pick up survival skills in the military. You pick up organizational skills in the military. You get free educational things. What we do is we start talking to our children. We start interacting with our children and educating them on what you're about to embark on. And when you teach them that, young man, young lady, I want you to go to the military. You know, you don't have any plans. You don't have the ability to pay for college. You don't know what you want to do. Go to the military. Oh, yeah. Are they going to be, it's going to be mad racial? Yes, it is. Indeed, it is. You're going to get so much racial pushback, it's going to be an eye opener. See, because then we take the blinders off your kids. I've said this on my show for a few years. I think the people from 1959 to 1979 failed their children. At me at HRap_B if you disagree. I really do, because we let our kids grow up in a society in which people were not paying attention. People were not. We were not addressing. We were not addressing the world that our kids were about to embark upon. We just did not do that. We let them think the world was kumbaya. Your rights are the same. No, it's not. You can pretend, and you go, well, in my neighborhood, well, guess what? In your neighborhood, it's a utopic situation, and the rest of us are struggling. But we didn't address it properly. Should we have taught our kids to hate? Hell no, we don't teach our kids to hate, because that's not what we do. But what we do need to do is this. What we need to do is this. Put our kids in the mind state of being prepared for what's in store, what you're in store for. Being prepared for what you're in store for. And what are they in store for? A whole lot of racial tension. Because a lot of our people put our kids in these better schools, and then the white kids at those schools, or the kids from other cultures, attack those kids. And how do they attack them? You hear time and time again how they being called names, how they're being said, you're only here for, you're only here because of affirmative action and things of that nature. That plays a psychological game with your child. But if you told your kids walking in the door, you will be discriminated against more than likely. Be prepared. Be prepared for this discrimination that's about to hit you right in the face. You won't have an issue. Your kid won't have an issue if you warn them of this. But we did not do that. We told our kids, you got the right to do anything, yada, yada, yada. But you also, if you're going to tell your child he or she has the right to do what they want to do, you must also arm them with the nonsense that comes along with being a trailblazer. And this is why you go to the military. Arm your son, your daughter. Look, it's a lot of racism there. There's a lot of white supremacy there. These are not HRap's words. These are the FBI's words. The FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, says the police departments nationwide and the military and all branches have been infiltrated by white supremacists. So if they're infiltrating, why don't we? They can learn weaponry. They can learn organizational skills. They can learn tactics. Then they can learn to be an electrician. They can learn to be a software expert. They can learn to be a myriad of things that they can use once they come out. Now, if you don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, then you go and stay for 20 years. But you also have been taught, hey, this is the world we live in. Be prepared for it. I've heard ex-military high-ranking generals, Joint Chief of Staff rank kinds of guys say that they had the code switch. Code switching is what we call turning on your white voice or minimizing yourself. Your voice is deep. You have to speak an octave higher to make other people comfortable. These are the things that we need to be preparing our young people for as they embark on the real world. We're not teaching them to hate anybody, but they're gonna be people that hate us. And as they hate us, what they need to do is understand. Somebody hating you is irrelevant. You're going to go and get what you need to get. Our ancestors did it for 10 years after the emancipation, 20 years after the emancipation, 40 years after the emancipation, 60 years after the emancipation is 100 years of one of the greatest towns in the history of the United States of America. One of the best hotels in the United States of America was housed in Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma. They call it Black Wall Street. 100 years of them burning it down. 100 years of the United States federal government. The United States federal government sending the National Guards being deputized by the city to attack our folks. These are things that our people need to understand. These are things that our children need to understand. So as they navigate through the world and this racism hit them in the face, you just move it to the side because racism is actually made you a stronger individual. Whether you want to admit it or not, because being able to deal with that stuff and be as successful as you want to be is a superpower. It is. Am I telling you, hey man, just accept racism? Hell no, I'm not telling you that. But I am telling you, don't let it be a nuisance or a hindrance to you. It should not be a rock in your shoe. It shouldn't be. Because when you know some nonsense is on the way down the road, when you see that nonsense coming, what do? You sidestep it and keep moving. And that's what we need to do. Military, police departments. Okay, they're rife with racism. But if you infiltrate, you cut it down some. See, what we're going to do is stop talking about the good people in the world. Because it's not as many good people that are pro-black as you think. So when you bump into what can become an ally, you analyze the situation and you make alliances, but you always understand that even that person may not be who they think they are. We've seen several times over the last few months that people who were allies stepped out and said some nonsense, and next thing you know, you're dealing with them. I had a racist statement said to me yesterday by an attorney. An attorney said something that I didn't like and I deemed partially racist. But he knew what he was doing. And it wasn't like an N-word or anything like that. It was just one of those he made a stereotypical statement to me, and I looked at him, he calmed down, and he got scared. And I looked back, I'm like, no, I'm not going to fire you. But this is the barter system. You know how to take people to court. You're astute at what you're doing. I'm going to use you for that. I'm going to get what I need, and then that's it. We're not enemies. We're not friends. We're business associates. You're going to get what you need out of this deal. I'm going to get what I need. I'm going to get what I need out of this deal, and then we're going to move forward. And that's what we need to be for the rest of the time we're in this country. because people continue to think, we continue to allow them to trigger us, and that's not what we're going to do. So if we start joining the police force, we got people who giving us passes when our kids make mistakes. Watch the movie Concrete Jungle. Gives you a perfect example of what I'm speaking of. It's on Netflix. Idris Elba, Method Man, and a bunch of other people who you may not know. Some of the people actually live in the town of Philadelphia that they were speaking about in the section. So when you are doing that, when you're looking at these things, you'll understand what I'm talking about. How Method Man allowed this young man, who he could have clearly arrested, locked him up, threw away the key, disregarded him, how he, as a police officer, was able to let this young man walk and gave him a little background so he won't be as confused. This is why we need to join the police force, because if you do something extremely petty, you shouldn't have that as a strike against you. That's a learning. What young people make mistakes better than anybody in the world. They have PhDs in making mistakes. So our young people shouldn't pay for it into perpetuity. So this is why we join the police force. We join the military to teach our young people discipline and tactical force, teach them weaponry, and allow them to get free education on vocation that will in turn put you in a situation to be employable. Because most people outside of our community think if you go to the military now, you're one of us, and blah, 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 and then you code switch, you get where you want to be, and then you move forward as well. The third thing, academics, we're going to start telling our young people, you're going to be a cop, you're going to be a fireman, you're going to be go to the military and turn yourself into something else, and you're going to go into politics. See, this is why we struggle, because they're telling their young people to do this. You're going to do this, and then you're going to be a cop, and you're going to kill them, or you're going to hurt them, you're going to have your way with them, and you're going to be a politician, and you're going to pretend that you like them, and then then we're going to still be in charge. See, but what we have to do, if you don't plan on packing up and leaving and going to another country, what we're going to do is say, hey, you're going to be a cop, and you're not going to be a jerk cop. You're going to be an alderman, and you're going to rock with the people. You're going to be something else, and we have to have structure and organization. We have to have someone immobilize, bring people together, and organize, push people out into different directions, and they come back. Period. And see, then it is an act called the Breather Act. The Breather Act, a lot of people try to confuse it with defund the police. It's not that. I am a proponent of defunding the police. But see, people think defunding the police and tearing down the police is get rid of all the police. No. There's some cities. I always go back to the city of New York. The city of New York had over, I think it was $5 billion in a budget for the police department. What you do is you reallocate those funds and you reconstruct the police department. Yes, do we need police officers to serve and protect and preserve peace and uphold the law? Yes, you do, because no matter what you do, no matter where you live, and no matter what the circumstances are, it will be people acting in a nefarious way. That is inevitable. No universe in the world is going to have people that, hey, I grew up right and I'm going to be a good guy. No. It's going to be people breaking the law. If you know anything about rap, it's this dude named Big Daddy Kane, grew up with both parents. Daddy was a truck driver, mama was a nurse, and he turned into a stick-up guy at one point. So now there are no euphoric situations where these people will be in perfect situations and then everything goes right. So you definitely need the police, but you don't need $5 billion in police. You also need people to react to, like in Philadelphia last year, a young man was having a mental episode, a mental meltdown. Why does a person with a gun show up at that situation? Then you got people who make excuses for them. Oh man, he was out of control. They want to go home. What the hell? Do you think people don't want to go home? Because you're having a mental episode does not mean that is not punishable by death. Because you are selling cigarettes, that's not punishable by death. Because you're selling CDs, because you have the legal right to own a firearm, it's not punishable by death. If you're 12 years old playing with a toy gun, that's not punishable by death. See, these are the things that we need to realize what the hell is going on. These things happen because we're not engaged. And if we have the ability to engage and we refuse to engage, then it's like 1% our fault. It is. It's a bunch of us. Most of us are law-abiding citizens. You don't know, unless you come from a straight-up crime family, you don't know a whole lot of people who just want to commit criminal acts. You just don't. You do not. Goes back to the Breather Act. We're not trying to defund the police because the news, they don't tell you the stories. The Breather Act. The Breather Act acknowledges that 955 million people, $955 million per day nationwide is allocated towards the police. Why can't some of that be allocated towards mental health experts and things of that nature? I don't believe in this retraining because guess what? I've never killed anybody. I've never killed anybody. If I was in, I've been in situations where I could have hurt somebody badly, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't come with training. The people who you know who respect lives, they don't get out of their car with the intent to murder someone. Is it a dangerous job? Hell yeah. But it's amazing how most people are not being killed because of this and because of that. What about, again, they always go back to what about black on black crime? And then they use the synonym of Chicago. Chicago is a synonym for violent entities now. Period. Chicago is a synonym for dangerous place. But guess what? Detroit, Michigan isn't the most dangerous city in the United States of America. Did you know that? Baltimore, Maryland isn't the most dangerous place in the United States of America. Los Angeles, California isn't the most dangerous place in the United States of America. Guess where the most violence is enacted in the United States of America? A Republican state that goes by the name of Florida. These are the very same people who act as if their caca isn't brown and there's nothing going on. But now, I'm not going to lie and say Illinois wasn't in the top 5. It was number 5. But you would have never thought that you would have to go through 4 other states, not city of Chicago, state. As violent as the city of Chicago is, it's not the number 1 violent place in America. Why is that? Because it's propaganda that's being given to you. That's why it's build and destroy. We're going to build up our community and destroy the propaganda and the lies. Are all cops bad? Hell no, all of them are not bad. But are all white people bad? Hell no. All black people not good. So let's get all those tropes out the way. But I'm gonna say this every week. So if you don't want to hear this, you better just. And then I blame the United States government on all the criminal activity in the United States, on most of the criminal activity in the United States of America. Because when you put poor people or working class people or people who barely make it, and you strip them of all potential means to feed themselves, what the hell else do you think they're gonna do? They're going to resort to criminal activity and criminality. Last time I checked, schools should be operated from border to border, coast to coast, the same way. Where are vocational schools now? What are those schools? Teach you how to be a carpenter, teach you how to lay concrete, teach you how to tool and die, teach you how to duct work. I had a certificate in duct work when I left high school. I had that certificate from West House Vocational High School. Those guys that learn how to do auto mechanics, welding. What that was called was sheet metal. Where are those schools at? See, because those give you options. See, we continue to argue with each other. Again, as I stated at the top of the show, you're going to argue with the Latino man over here. You're going to argue with the Asian man over there. You're going to argue with the black man over here. You're going to argue with somebody that's on your level, right? These people arguing. Meanwhile, the people up here, they're just yelling. They're watching. They're looking down and watch you yell and scream at each other and decide, oh, well, he's gay. I don't like him. He's black. I don't like him. He's Latino. I don't like him. And he's a foreigner, and I don't like him. He's an illegal alien. You see people holding up signs, no more illegal aliens. And unless you are one of the indigenous people of the nation, you are an alien too. Shout out to Ben from BS3, my brother from Forecast. Thank you for joining in. Thank you. But this is what I'm saying. We continue to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. We continue to enact with all this nonsense and do all this foolishness, and we're arguing about nothing. And again, just think. How many times have you seen a black man as the face of the police? I don't mean, are they black captains? Are they black chief of police? Are they black people that's in charge? Hell yeah, they're black people in charge. But why aren't you recruiting? I have a friend, very good friend, one of my closest friends in the world. He's the type of friend that'll tell me if I'm a doofus, if I'm doing something that equates to being a doofus, or if I'm doing well, he'll tell me that as well. I got my man Doc in the building, another brother from he'll be on tonight as well. You see that King and Queens, King 3 and King podcast. I need you to go to YouTube and hit the follow on that. Hit the follow on that, and then you'll see my brother on there tonight. Him and his sisters is real good. It's dope. It's family oriented. It's a whole lot of fun. You need to check it out. But as I was stating, my man is a former government employee. He has worked for the he's worked for a few 3-letter organizations. I know he don't want his business out there. Well, I already said his name, but he's worked for the FBI, he's worked for the CIA, he's worked for the DIA. That's a little homework. I got my man Wolf's in the building, as usual. Thank you, Wolf's. And he's worked for all 3-letter agencies. And they do recruiting for people that look like us. Again, if they've infiltrated you, we must study them as they study us and reenact some of the things that are not evil and wicked, and then imply and enact them in our community. That way we can rise. That's the only way we're gonna rise. Because rich people in this country are doing everything they can. These races are doing everything they can to keep you exactly where you are. You might be able to go up one step, but they really want to push you down one. Don't believe me. Rap, you're overreacting. I think you're tripping. Not a problem. But have any of you heard of the 1619 Project? 1619 Project is telling you your history. It is it is just like Exterminate the Brute, but it's more detailed. It shows you how and where and what has gone on throughout the United States and their history. You have to be aware of these things. But guess what? Mitch McConnell and his boys and all these big time Republicans who tell you, hey, we just want you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do your best while you want to delete history. They are Mitch McConnell wrote to the Department of Education in his state a letter stating that he no longer wants that kind of propaganda, that's the words that he used, that kind of information disseminated in the schools. Why? You don't want the truth to be told. This goes into another form. They also don't want, what is it called? I wrote it down. Critical race theory thought either. Critical race theory is it's taught in law schools, and it teaches you why there are certain laws enacted, why certain people are able to do certain things in this country called the United States of America. But see, the truth is always going to be hidden, because when you are educated in regards to the truth, what happens is you educate yourself, and what happens after true education? Emancipation shortly follows. You will no longer, as Eddie Murphy made part of the English language, you're no longer falling for the banana in the tailpipe. See, when you find out why things are enacted and you find out what actually happened, you will, if you're an intelligent person, you'll remove the veil from your face and you'll start to see clearly. This isn't about hurting anybody. This isn't about attacking anybody. This is not about creating hate. What this is about is putting yourself in a situation to where, as you educate yourself, you educate your friends, you educate your children, nieces, nephews, cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, grandparents. Well, you don't have to educate your grandparents because they know. But this is why at one point, everybody I know that's black has heard this. You better learn your lesson. Your lessons was in school. You were being taught things. And these things should make you want to go down a rabbit hole and do a deep dive on this information. But they don't want this information out here anymore. That's why there's only one book company that supplies most books, most of the curriculum, most of the books for the curriculum and education throughout the nation. And what did they do? They tried to remove the word slave. They tried to replace it with indentured servitude or migrant workers and things of that nature. What that does is dumb you down a little more. Well, if it was just a migrant worker, what's the problem? They don't want you to know about these things. They don't want you to know about the beatings. They don't want you to know about the killings, the lynchings. They don't want you to know about how 1,200 people a month at one point were being lynched. They don't want you to know about the fact that most of the laws that are enacted in the United States of America today is to make sure you are held down. Again, I'll go over the things I went over at the top of the show. Vagrancy. That came about because guess what? The 14th Amendment says slavery is illegal unless you are convicted of a crime. Slavery is illegal unless you're convicted of a crime. So what I'm going to do is loitering. You ain't got no place to go. Loitering. Oh, okay. Well, you going to jail for that. And guess what, Dan? I used to own Sister Girl over there. I used to have my way with her. Oh, she was vagrant? Okay, I'm going to rent her out. And I'm going to have my way with her again. And then she, I'm send her back to jail. Now I don't even have to feed her and take care of her because she's a ward of the state. Again, with the sharecropping. These are things that are being, you don't want to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about it because that's painful. You got people, see, I don't like watching that racial stuff because that makes me uncomfortable. Shout out to Tiki, she in the building. Rated Care, thank you, Brother Rated. I want to talk about those things because those things, I'm uncomfortable with it. Well, you should be uncomfortable. You should be. You should be uncomfortable because there's no time for us to be comfortable right now. When 4 and 5 of our young people getting killed every day on TV, which we're going to unplug on, I hope y'all agree with me. When you got y'all schools being deficient, and this is why when we were growing up, I'm 50. Look, if you within that age, 5 years either way, you knew your grandparents and your parents had to check magazine and other annual almanacs so you could know your history, and they promoted that. We're going to have to get back into that because if they're taking out the books from our institutions and putting in indentured servant and migrant worker and trying to make it seem as if slavery was not a real thing, you know what that reminds me of? Shout out to Laree Favors. That reminds me of, just imagine this, being black or whatever you want to classify yourself as. I know a lot of people deem black as an insult. Being in this country, being black, and a Confederate flag is being flown, and you got Gestapo-style police, and you got buildings like in Atlanta. They just changed the name of a school who had Forrest, the dude who Forrest Gump they was talking about. Forrest, his name was on the school, and he was a Grand Wizard of Ku Klux Klan, and our sisters and brothers in Georgia going to the schools. And Thomas Jefferson is a child molesting rapist, and they got his name all over type of stuff. And George Washington was the type of dude who owned Africans, and he got his name on top of stuff. But you don't know about owner Judge. Sister broke out on him and wrote him a letter back saying, I ain't coming back unless you free me. See, we don't know these things because when you know these things, again, it empowers you and unlocks your mind, and you realize, hold it. You mean in 1840 they had a black expo, the Negro Expo? Yeah, they did. So why can't I? Nothing can stop me. This is why these things are being held from you. And then you got some people that boast through, like my homeboy who worked for the government, who was recruiting brothers and sisters to get in there too. Again, you learn skills that will translate into wealth, independence, freedom, mentally and physically and financially. We can do these things, brothers and sisters, but we have to be aware. And if you're not aware of your greatness, how can you enact that greatness? This leads me to the portion of the show in which I show you how great you are historically. You will watch this video. I will be back shortly. I hope you are. This is something else that will enhance you, and then I'll move forward.
I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. Welcome to the Black Excellence and Abundance Channel. The language which is called Hebrew Phoenician or Canaanite was employed in the lands called Phoenicia, Palestine, or Canaan for over 1,000 years before the Arameans, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, came to Canaan. The Israelites lost their Aramaic language and adopted the Hebrew speech of the Canaanites. The land just below the country of Turkey in red is the current-day Lebanon, which is ancient Phoenicia. The Hebrew Phoenician merchants from the cities of Sidon and Tyre controlled the trade along the Mediterranean coast for more than 1,000 years before there were any economic treaties made with the Israelites. The Hebrew-speaking Phoenicians, Canaanites, established their greatest city, Carthage, at Tunis in North Africa. All the Canaanites were black people. People have been living in Phoenician cities, modern-day Lebanon, for over 7,000 years, making it the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world. And it has gone through several rulerships, including the Canaanite, Phoenician period, the Egyptian rule, Assyrian, Babylonian, Persian, Roman, Arab, on up until today. And that will certainly account for the changing faces of this ancient land.
The Phoenician alphabet was perhaps the first alphabetic script to be widely used. The Phoenicians traded around the Mediterranean and beyond and set up cities and colonies in parts of southern Europe and North Africa. The origins of most alphabetic writing systems can be traced back to the Phoenician alphabet.
Here's a copy of the Phoenician alphabet with 22 letters. The Greeks later added 4 for a total of 26, which is what we use today in the modern language.
These writing systems include Greek, Etruscan, Latin, Arabic, and Hebrew, as well as the scripts of India and East Asia. As you can see, this system has a significant influence in how the world communicates. The Phoenician alphabet developed from the Proto-Canaanite alphabet during the 15th century BC. Before then, the Phoenicians wrote with the cuneiform script. The earliest known inscriptions in the Phoenician alphabet come from Byblos and date back to 1000 BC.
If, for some, may have not made the connection yet, the phonetic alphabet is a derivative way of saying the Phoenician alphabet. The Phoenicians also invented numbers. They created the alphabet and number system for the sole purpose of being able to record information about their trades. The Phoenicians were primarily known as sailors who had developed a high level of skill in shipbuilding and were able to navigate the often turbulent waters of the Mediterranean Sea. Shipbuilding seems to have been perfected at Byblos, where the design of the curved hull was first initiated. The city-states of Phoenicia flourished through maritime trade between 1500 and 322 BCE. The artifacts from the region have been found as far away as Britain and as close as Egypt, and it is clear the Phoenician luxury goods were highly prized by the cultures with whom they traded. These innovative and very creative people left a clear record of who they were. This amazing people developed open sea navigation before sailors wouldn't go far out into the sea. Rather, they stayed close to the coast. The Phoenicians revolutionized this by sailing out far into the sea, which led to the success of their trading. They used the North Star to help them navigate. It was referred to as the Phoenician Star up until the 19th century. There is evidence that proves the presence of the Phoenicians in modern-day America before Christopher Columbus. Here's an example of ancient artifacts found in America before Columbus. How did it get here? Another very interesting fact about the Phoenicians is that they invented the color purple. It was extremely expensive and time-consuming to produce the color purple. Only the very wealthy were able to afford it. This is why purple is considered to be associated with royalty. The Phoenicians also invented glass manufacturing. The technique of blowing glass was developed by this great and mighty people. A skill that is used all around the world, even until this day. This great and mighty people has had an impact on the world over with their alphabet development, letters, the color purple, and many, many other inventions, including sailing and so many others. We thank the Phoenicians, for we indeed have a lot to thank them for. The Black Excellence and Abundance Channel, where Black history is every day. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, thou art rich.
Thank you for continuing to tune in. This is HRap. This is Built for This Network. This is the End Bench podcast known as Build and Destroy, where we build up our community and destroy the lies and propaganda around it. As you see, man, if you learn these things early, no one can teach you how to not like yourself. No one can teach you how to not like yourself. And you won't be in a situation of self-hate. And that's the thing. Whoa, wait, toupee almost came off. But no one put you in a position to hate yourself. See, we've been taught that we're lazy, we're shiftless, we're slow, we don't know anything, we don't want to work hard, and this is totally the opposite. We built the White House. Let me do the video on that next week or Saturday, maybe Saturday. We built the White House. What we don't realize is, as you just noticed, glass, the alphabet that you use to this very day, and there are millions of other things that we've used, that we've invented: the stoplight, the washing machine, the clothes dryer, a million other, the automatic transmission, the things that we just, the remote control, you don't want, none of us getting up turning the TV anymore. We using that, and we invented that. Actually, we didn't invent the video game, but the cartridge, the actual sliding in the cartridge, there was a brother invented that. See, when you know these things about yourself, no one can tell you anything negative about yourself, and this uplifts you. This puts you in a position to, whereas a lot of our folks go into positions and say, I have to show them. When you know that your lineage produced most of the most beneficial things in the history of the world, then other people need to prove themselves valid to you. See, this is why I say we must start to educate our young people on things like this. We must put our young people in a position to, whereas they're in a position of power, no one is trying to coach you. Like I purposely use the English language. I bastardize the English language every chance I get. I do. I purposely do it. You hear me in a general conversation, I say things like looked it and most goodest and things of that nature. The reason I do that is because it's to teach. I shock the hell out of people for one. Because, oh man, you're a pretty smart guy. I say, yeah, I looked it smart. And they look at me like I've lost my mind. I actually had a person, I used to say pantses so much that the person actually thought the word pantses was the real thing. The reason I do that is because, shout out to my 8th grade teacher, Miss Adams. She called it the black dialect. And this is the only country on the earth in which the way we speak, we're critiqued by it. Unless you can make somebody some money. When you can make somebody else some money, you can go into, like if we went into a bank and we didn't have any documentation, we're just like, hey man, we want to get money, we got this great ass idea, or we doing something that we can speak the king's English to the queen's taste. And you'll potentially be discriminated against. Now, you can have some dude that we would consider a country bumpkin show up in some overalls and a t-shirt and things of that nature, and guess what will happen? Guess what will happen? If they have documentation of them creating money and monies for that bank, they could be in there and say, ain't got no. They could say, looked it. They could be in there wearing pantses. I ain't be got no weapon and any other double negatives that they want to use if they can prove that they'll make money. And what we need to do is get into the position of understanding language does not determine the amount of academic education. It determines how much academic education, but it does not determine how educated you are in the world. If you don't believe me, it's a great chance a lot of us know people who deal in nefarious activities like drug dealing, right? Street pharmaceuticals, I'll call it that, so people feel comfortable. But guess what? Since 1974, they've been trying to teach the metric system in the United States of America in schools to no avail. Somehow, some way, just about everybody sitting outside doing something they shouldn't be doing, cocaine, heroin, barbiturates, pills, or whatever, they know the metric system. You know why? Because it's called practical application. If you can show somebody where what you're teaching them is beneficial to them and their bottom line, they'll learn it. But if you just tell me you need to learn this, why? Because you should, because everybody's doing it. And then, the rest of the world tell you, don't do what everybody's doing. It is a confusing message. It is not beneficial to anyone. And guess what happens? That person will not learn that. So when you teach our young people, your nieces, nephews, sons, daughters, that this is important, because if you want to do something, look at what this guy did in the face of tyranny, in the face of abject racism, in the face of the law, and this person still became a millionaire or a billionaire, or at that time will be a billionaire, or they were the richest person in that town, or the fact that there was a brother that saved the town of Michigan. I'm trying to think his name. His name is Bob. I'm trying to think. And he also helped fund the migration to the West, to the blackest state in America, and not by population, by power and influence. Black people went to Oklahoma, well, the territory of Oklahoma was called Indian country then. And they went there, and they took over, and they had people in power and owning things and running things. That's what Bob Church, that's the man's name. Bob Church helped fund that. So Black Wall Street, that we love to talk about it, we love to hem and haw about the way they did us in Black Wall Street. There was a brother by the name of Robert Church. They call him Bob Church. Shout out to my man Al. He educated me on the fact that they called him Bob. Al, watch him. But these are the things that your young people need to know. These are the things. The term cowboy started off as a disrespectful term because, of course, they're not calling any brothers sir, and they called it a cowboy. He was a cowhand, and he became a cowboy. Some of the dudes that you love and hold dearly to, the Lone Ranger, he's Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves, how about this? Bass Reeves was a former enslaved African who won a card game and beat the hell out of the dude who owned them at one point. You don't know these things. When you find out your history, then and only then what you will do is enhance your history. You will take pride in being this flavor. You know what I mean? Because guess what? I got a news flash. Being white or black is a made-up construct. Before they crossed that Atlantic Ocean, nobody was white or black. They were the countryman that they were from. They were Spanish. They were Portuguese. They were from Sierra Leone. They were from Ghana. They were from Botswana. They were not Africans. They were not that African, derived from the word, a Greek word, Afrik, without coal. See, these are the things that you need to understand and know. You have people over here that look like me and you 400 years before Columbus. You had people on the West Coast, the Folsom tribe, that looked like black people 150,000 years ago. 15,000 years ago. So when people want to tell you go back home, when they want to tell you you're not this or you're not that, all you really have to do is scan them. Oh, you got a cell phone? You mean the same thing that Granville Woods invented? He invented the walkie-talkie, which is the grandfather of the cell phone. That's the father of the cell phone is a cordless phone. So see, these are the things that you must educate your young people on. So when people attack them and say that they're not supposed to be, they can flash back and say, hey man, without me, there is no you. And that's the truth. South Africa, first, the oldest fossil ever seen was a sister in South Africa. So without me, there is no you. These are the things we must educate our young people on. These are the people that we should educate our young people on so they won't fall victim of what we're falling victim to today: discrimination, racism, hate, and things of that nature. We don't have time for that. What we're going to do is we're going to fix our diets. We're going to get our minds, our bodies, and our souls in the same place. That's all we need to do. After you get your mind in order, education, spirituality, you'll create ways to create that finance that you all a lot of us aspire to. That's how you get it done. Walking around hating and just complaining, that's what I'm going to do. So what we need to do is get engaged in our community. Start going to these damn committeeman meetings, which leads to meetings with aldermen. If you have aldermen, I know a lot of us don't have aldermen, but who's ever voting, whoever you're voting for to control your community, then you get small things like potholes fixed, lights fixed, garbage cans put in. Then we're going to start asking for more money in our schools. Then we're going to start spending more money on things that are beneficial to our young people, like academic tools. Then we're going to start talking to the state senators. And then if you're that afraid, go to ACLU, download that app. They have an app, so if the police bother you, you can start recording. And it will immediately send it to 5 different people in one place. It'll go back to the ACLU, and then you can send it to 5 people. You can send it to me, and you can send it to 4 other people. That way you're protecting yourself and your future. And if you don't like the way the Urban League is doing, you need to go inside the Urban League. You could be a criminal and go inside the Urban League. You could be a criminal and go inside the NAACP. Because you can take over from the inside out. We got to stop just complaining. Because complaining isn't getting us anywhere. We must take action. We must engage. Unless we're going to all go down here in Chicago. It's on Clark and Ida B. Wells Drive. We're going to go in there and get our passports, and we're going to take our ass overseas, and we're going to go to Africa and make Africa even doper. But most of us are not doing that. So what we have to do is to get involved, get into it, move forward, and then take care of everything around you. We must educate ourselves on our history, which will bring pride to you. You educate your kids about your history, which will elevate them. And then you'll have a situation to where as you must engage. You must elevate yourself, your children, your community, engage in the governmental process, and then you move forward and you take over the world. If you're not willing to do that, I'm going to need you to callete ben hell. Callete ben dejo cabrón for the men, and cabrona for the women. And with that being said, I'm about to close this out. I want to thank each and every one of you. I'm going to show y'all the thing that I showed at the top of the show, because I want y'all to see this, because they teach you certain things about our ancestors that are not necessarily true. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want you to tune in about 45 minutes to my man, Doc, Three Queens and a King, YouTube. So YouTube, you checking me out, you see that. I want you to continue to support Bill for this network. I want you to continue to support me. Subscribe, hit the like button. If y'all didn't hit the like button, you should continue to hit the like button. Support your boy. I really appreciate it. I see a bunch of likes in there. Don't worry about the low numbers, because those numbers are never accurate. I want to salute to Joe Madison. I want to salute to Larry Daniel Favors. I want to salute to Clay Kane. I want to salute to Heather B. I want to salute to Al Sharpton. I want to salute to, what's my man name? I want to salute to Zoe Williams. I want to salute to Ray Grady, Corey Holcomb, Craig Smith, Talib Kweli, Shannon Shaw. And if I forgot you, as Girly Girl would say, charge to my head, not my heart. Salute to my man D Great. I want to salute my man RC. Hope you're feeling better, brother. Happy anniversary to Vince Wright. Happy Mother's Day to the sisters out there. I'm going to say that Saturday, too. Happy Mother's Day. Happy early Mother's Day. And I want y'all to see this little clip by our ancestor, the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it's going to give you a different perspective of him. You know, it's not going to make you make Dr. King will walk around stealing on people, nothing, but it's just something that we need to pay attention to. With that being said, y'all already know. Salute to Reggie O'Shea, Combat Jack. I want to shoot to Wallow and Gilly. And y'all already know, dream those dreams, and man up and woman up and live those dreams. It's life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in Technicolor surround sound. And y'all already know, if you need something, if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. This is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Network for the strong, not the weak.